What are you? I bet most of the time you feel like an I, not a we. That's how I feel anyway, a single unified being. Or at least I'm most comfortable when I feel like that. Better than when I'm working at cross purposes, tripping all over myself, shooting myself in the foot, sticking my foot in my mouth, being of two minds, dealing with cognitive dissonance, or drowning in ambivalence, doubt, and ultimately self-doubt, doubt about whether I can handle all my doubts. Doubt is me splintering into at least two parts, the doubting me and the doubted me. Self-awareness, which sounds good, self-doubt and self-consciousness, which sound bad, all result from a kind of split personality. Not that I split along clear lines. It's more like checks and counterchecks, arguments within myself that have me going around in circles until one voice gets the upper hand. So yes, I prefer to feel single-minded, so much so that when I'm of two minds, I can pretend I'm of one mind just to feel better. Lots of people do that. There are lots of ways to do it. You can insist that you're single-minded while alternating, ignoring whichever mind is inconvenient at the moment. One minute you're saying you adore your job wholeheartedly, the next minute you say that you hate your job, and you deny the inconsistency. If anyone calls you on it, you can accuse them of not listening. You can go vague to blur over your ambivalences, saying things like it's all good or who knows or whatever, to pretend that you're not stuck on the horns of a dilemma. And you can lash out at people for misunderstanding and misinterpreting you when really you just don't want to admit that they heard whatever part of you you're trying to hide in the moment. Doubt is like an argument within yourself. Like all arguments, it can feel ungrounding. It can make you crave harmony and consensus. But until you get that resolution, you go round in circles, you ruminate. It's annoying going back and forth like that, being of two or more minds, each trying to get the upper hand. Okay, but really, what are you? Are you an I or a we? What are we living beings? There are solid, stable, singular things in the universe. A stone is a stone. A metal shed is a metal shed. They last by durability. Sure, they shed, corrode, rust, and eventually disintegrate, but so slowly that it's safe to say they're solid, singular things. Let just be. You and I aren't like that. We're fragile, not durable at all. We don't just be, we're beings, both a verb and a noun. To be alive is to be actively busy being a being. For example, today you generated 330 billion replacement cells. Death is the end of that busy being. We do, and the beginning of our disintegration, which, since we're fragile, happens much faster with us than with stones or metal sheds. Okay, but how? How do we keep ourselves going like that? Checks and balances, which a single thing cannot have. A single solitary thing cannot impose checks and balances on itself. It takes at least two to sustain checks and balances. You probably associate checks and balances with government, right? Three branches, presidential, congressional, judicial, impose checks and balances on each other. Funny term, checks and balances. We know what it means, but don't bother to unpack it. A check is a constraint, restraint, or limitation. For example, saying check in the game of chess means you're cornered by a constraint. Or in slang, check yourself before you wreck yourself. It can mean check yourself out, examine yourself, but it also means imposing some self-restraint. When someone says, just look at yourself, get next to yourself, they're asking you to split. Get introspective and see yourself as others see you, which entails putting yourself in other people's shoes. That's the funny thing about narcissists. They're named after a guy who couldn't stop looking at himself, but that's the last thing they're willing to do. Checks and balances meaning that there are checks plus balances? Not really. It's really balanced checks, if that didn't sound like bookkeeping. Balanced checks are balanced constraints, roughly equal limitations. A limits B as much as B limits A. Balanced checks keep fragile systems going. They sustain governments, partnerships, marriages, friendships, organizations, wars, debates, arguments, fights, games, doubts, ecologies, and yes, us living beings. You want to sustain your life, ecologies, friendships, partnerships, and marriages. You want to stop wars, fights, self-doubts, love it or hate it. The fundamental rule applies. It takes two to tango, two to tangle. or to sustaingo, two or more processes that keep each other in balanced checks. A marriage that lasts is also the product of balanced checks. Maybe you think of it as becoming as one forevermore, two people being of one mind. Or maybe you think it's like being stuck with a ball and chain who doesn't let you do what you want. Or maybe you think of a marriage as give and take, another funny term for checks and balances. Is it giving in or giving a hard time? Is it taking what you want or taking things lying down? No matter. It's balanced checks, processes that free and limit each other. Plenty of marriages continue to work even though both partners feel hemmed in by each other. Some even like being hemmed in, encouraged to be who they want to be and not who they don't want to be. There are plenty of marriages that end with both parties feeling liberated, like they've just taken off a tight shoe. Someone who encouraged them to be who they didn't want to be. And there are plenty of exes who fall apart without constraints imposed by their partner. Some exes OD on drugs and crime, spun out and strung out on behavior they couldn't have gotten away with when they were partnered. Sometimes we wish for spinning out. For example, we want to win games and wars. We want them to end with us winning. They drag on because neither side can get the edge. Is sustained by alternating dominance. One side's ahead, then the other side's ahead, back and forth, on and on. Darwin described his theory as one long argument. In a way, evolutionary biology itself is one long argument. Organisms struggling for their existence, imposing checks upon each other. A sustainable ecosystem is also one long argument, sustained by different species imposing balanced checks on each other. Darwin admitted he hadn't explained the struggle for existence. He just assumed it to explain adaptations and speciation. But even a single organism's struggle for existence is one long argument, the inner balance checks that keep a critter alive. Machines are that way too. When a part breaks, it can no longer constrain the other parts. Things can spin out and fall apart. Governments are that way too. There's lots of concern about us losing the checks and balances in government these days. That way lies tyranny, a branch of government that goes unchecked, typically the presidency, usually ends up with a crazy tyrant whose behavior goes unchecked. It's all pretty intuitive, right? So it's a wonder that religion and science pay so little attention to the give and take necessary to sustain fragile systems. A monotheistic God is a single solitary being. God is eternally right, righteous, and mighty because he's of one mind always. Could God create a mountain so big he can't move it? If he can or he can't, it would prove that he's not omnipotent, all-powerful. The theological answer is that he wouldn't. God never contradicts himself. God is one. Everyone craves oneness, which makes sense. Being of two minds is a pain. In Origins of Life research, where we search for an explanation for organisms and their struggle for existence, what Darwin admitted he couldn't deliver, almost no researcher envisions two processes that are checks and balances on each other. I say almost because one biologist, Terrence Deacon, envisions exactly that. To him, the origins of life would be two processes keeping each other in balanced checks, keeping one another from spinning out.